We have come full circle. Look at me. Look at me. I'm the greater now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video with Swaggle. And in this video, we got some news to talk about. In a little bit of a grab bag video, a couple different little topics that I think if I'm clever, I can marry them all together to have a cohesive video here today. But the first thing that we have to discuss is this news. CGC now grading OVERSTREET comic book price guide. A new development thanks to the creation of the pulp magazine holders. And so in this video, I kind of want to go over this, talk about the irony of CGC now grading OVERSTREET price guide, give you guys my thoughts on it, and then also talk about a little bit of scam news that has also been going on related to CGC out there in the comic book market. But of course, before I get into the video, if you guys could like, comment, subscribe, I'd appreciate it. Help support the channel, doing those things. Also, Sanity, Rise of the Occult, V2, Kickstarter, pre-launch page is live. I'm gonna launch it soon, guys. We are at 190 followers. Can we get to 200? Can you guys go over there and give this thing a follow? I'd appreciate it. Anyways, let's get into this video here today. Of course, we got this news article coming out earlier this morning, CGC now grading OVERSTREET comic book price guide. Let's go through the article, and we actually have a little video here that we're gonna kind of watch alongside together, and then we'll kind of unpack it from there. The OVERSTREET comic book price guide has been a popular resource since 1970. Now collectors can have issue 1 certified and encapsulated by CGC. CGC is extending its renowned grading expertise to the debut issue of the OVERSTREET comic book price guide. I wonder if CGC should use OVERSTREET grading guides to grade the OVERSTREET guide. How meta. This development not only underscores the growing importance of its preservation with the comic book collecting community, but also signifies a major shift in how collectors interact with and perceive this iconic publication. Now, I kind of want to play this video right here that CGC put out in relation to this article, and we can kind of take a look at what Matt Nelson, CGC president, has to say about all this. So let's play this together and see what the fuss is about.
Hi, this is Matt Nelson, president of CGC Comics. Now that we're certifying pulps, the pulp holder has led to an exciting development. We are now encapsulating the first issue of the OVERSTREET price guide in the pulp holder. As many collectors know, the OVERSTREET price guide is considered the Bible for the industry.
So you know what's interesting about all that? You know, the guide came out in 1970, and I don't know if you guys know this, but a lot of people say that, you know, it was really OVERSTREET that was the first element that brought massive speculation into the comic book market. I mean, you talk about today, you know, everything going on with like the MCU is causing Spec, and, you know, then you go back to like Key Collector causing Spec, and then you go back to the early 90s and Wizard Magazine causing Spec. But really, it was OVERSTREET price guide that came out in 1970, because that was the very first time that the public sort of became aware of, like, you know, value within comic books in the secondary market. And it was from that point that, you know, bags and boards really started to become a thing that were regular in protecting your comic books after that, which is why, you know, 1970, 71, 72 through 74, like once you get to kind of 1974, once everyone sort of knew about this, it's really, you know, there's a lot of high grade 1974 comic books out there in the secondary market, right? Like everybody was protecting them at that point. And it had a lot to do with OVERSTREET price guide coming out. So a little bit of a factoid for all you guys out there.
It has served as a gateway for new collectors that provides not only pricing information, but also history and content. For these reasons, the first issue of the OVERSTREET price guide, published in 1970, is highly coveted by collectors. Given the higher page count of the OVERSTREET price guide, the pulp holder nicely accommodates its thickness with the
So that right there is really interesting. They're using the pulp holder because of the thickness of the book itself in order to encapsulate the OVERSTREET price guide. Of course, I made videos talking about how I thought this year pulps were going to be a big thing. People have already been posting all over social media how they've been sending in their pulps and getting them back, and, you know, we're starting to get that stuff on the census. And I think the Heritage auction, the Platinum auction that's going to happen in March, April time, that's probably going to be the auction to watch out for, because that one I'm sure is going to have graded pulps in it, and depending on how those do, I think is going to affect, you know, heavily how the market performs. But, you know, that's a whole other discussion. You know, we'll have to table that for another time. But I do think that there is some caution to be had in that. And anyways, I say all that to set up this part of the conversation. And that's they have these designed cases. They've been working on this stuff for pulps for a long time. Now they're going to be able to grade the Overstreet, guide inside this holder as well. Maybe this will open them up to using this holder to create other types of, grading things like first edition books and other sort of things that would fit into a slab like that. And so it does kind of beg the question, like, are we really going to get new cases? It feels like they've been investing a lot of time, energy, and resources into the cases that they already have. And the fact that they once upon a time used to grade the Overstreet price guide like in the bigger holder, but then they made these custom ones and now they're really proud of it and happy about it. It's like, is it going to be possible and feasible for them to add case design elements to all of their manufacturing pipeline right now? I mean, maybe they can add like a little sticker or something on the side. I don't know, but it feels like a page one rewrite of the cases is at this point probably still out of the question, because you guys can see how invested they are in this slab that they already have. All right, let's finish out the video here.
Super well. And from the front, the guide is beautifully showcased and centered inside the holder. So if you happen to have a copy of the first edition of Overstreet from 1970, make sure to submit it to us at cgccomics.com and follow us on social media at CGC Comics. This is Matt Nelson. Thanks for watching.
Well, there you have it, guys. CGC now grading the Overstreet magazine. You know what? Frankly, I'm okay with this. I know that it's hilarious, it's ironic, and it's one of those things that you look at it and it's just so funny how far we've come and maybe how far Overstreet has fallen. Overstreet at one point, they could have been CGC. They could have been the go-to grading entity. But there was a certain point where I guess technology went past them, right? As soon as things started to go online, they really got left in the dust. And now we are in a situation where CGC is using its own grading guide to grade the old grading guide. I think it's okay that CGC grades whatever they want to grade. If they want to grade magazines, they want to grade, Overstreet price guide, they want to grade video games, they want to grade pens, pencils, lamps, computer monitors, keyboards. Obviously, I'm looking at things on my desk right now, guys, in order to give up examples. But they can grade whatever it is that they want. I respect that. I think that they are a grading company, and that's the service they provide. I only question them sometimes when they start to participate in creating the collectible, as opposed to just grading what in theory would be a collectible. That's when I start to think that they maybe kind of overstep, the lines of integrity just a little bit. But very interesting here. I mean, the article kind of goes on to summarize what Matt was talking about, but let me know what you guys think. Are you guys going to be sending in your first edition Overstreet price guide? I wonder if they will ever open this up to grading the other editions of Overstreet. I mean, I know most people just care about the first edition because obviously it is history. It is significant within comic books. And I mean, them using the pulp holders, I don't really know, guys, if we're going to be getting new cases anytime soon. But speaking of CGC cases, figured I would have another discussion about things going on and more scams going on, except maybe this one is a little bit funny. Not quite the reholder level of fraud going on right here. But this was an interesting My Comic Shop post that was put out just the other day about a ASM 667, of course, the Del Auto variants, the true king of modern comic book collecting. If you guys don't know, this is a Del Auto that came out, in the mid sort of 2000s or 2011, I should say. And this has really become like the grail amongst modern comic book grail collectors. At one point, a lot of people thought that the Miles Morales Djurjevic variant was the king of modern comic books. Well, with the corrections, I think that it's safe to say that ASM 667 is, in fact, the king. Now, why is this book so popular? Why is it worth what it is? I don't know. It's a cool cover by Del Auto, and it's just become the behemoth. But you guys can see right here, My Comic Shop posting fake slabs, fake CGC slabs. You got to be careful out there, guys. I mean, look at this. I mean, at a glance, I think I have a trained enough eye. I'm sure a lot of you guys have a trained enough eye where you can just sort of see and feel quickly that, okay, that's not a real slab. That looks off, right? But to the untrained eye, I mean, you got to be careful, right? You got to be careful with this kind of thing. I mean, definitely the slab looks a lot skinnier, a lot smaller. You can see that they opened it. It wasn't like perfectly sealed. I mean, not like CGC comics are perfectly sealed. Ayo, you guys know what I'm talking about. But you can see right there, somebody just printed up the cover, made the fake comic book, and put it in the slab to get one over on people. And pretty crazy out there. You know, a lot of scams going on, even outside of the reholder situation. Of course, there's a lot of online scams. And, you know, again, CGC can't control everything that people do on the secondary market. But, you know, it goes back to the case security and what they can do to prevent counterfeit, what they can do to prevent people from getting fooled. And there is some ownership that they have to take, you know, as far as like how they're going to protect the secondary market. I mean, even their sticker up here, like the holofoil sticker or whatever it is that they put, you know, there should be elements that they talk about that it's like, you know, hey, just so you guys know, a CGC slab will never have such and such. I mean, do you guys always have that? You know, you ever get texted from your bank and they say, Chase Bank will never ask for your password, right? Like there's things like this that, you know, that are core tenets to the company. Like CGC will never blah, 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 or whatever it is, right? CGC will always have blah, 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 blah. I feel like that's an important element that's maybe missing with their company that could be very, very helpful to kind of drill into the secondary market, especially when you have, you know, people like this that sell comic books. I mean, here's another little scam thing. I mean, look at this listing right here. It just says Werewolf by Night 32, First Moon Night, CGC 98. And the main picture is this one right here, which conveniently cuts out the header, which, if you guys know, would say Werewolf by Night 32 facsimile edition. You know, so he conveniently cuts out the header. The photo is very, very blurry, so you can barely make out that it says right there, reprint of Werewolf by Night. And then, you know, the next photo is the close-up of the 9.8 that frames out where it says facsimile. And then he's got the back right there that also frames out where it's got facsimile. So, you know, there's people out there that are trying to convince people that it's like, hey, I got a 9.8 for sale right here. And, you know, you're trying to get people to maybe misunderstand what it is that they're buying and think that they get a good deal, you know, versus like someone selling a facsimile and just owning it. They can see right there, the facsimile edition. So that kind of reminded me of this thing right here where, you know, obviously if this found its place on eBay or something and they were like, oh, here's an ASM 667, no one would really know, or the untrained eye wouldn't really know about these sort of scams. And again, goes back to everything going on with CGC, case security, awareness, educating yourself. I mean, we collectors also have to take it upon ourselves to be educated and be careful out there and make sure that we don't make those mistakes because based on what we got with this press release that they're using the pulp holders to do Overstreet, and they're very excited about their pulp holders, I can't imagine that they're going to be doing many changes to the case in the near future. Anyways, that's all I got for this video. That was me just kind of covering the press release for Overstreet Price Guide. You know, let me know out there if you guys have an Overstreet that you're going to go get graded, or you guys have an Overstreet that you want to now pick up, or you guys Overstreet collectors. What do you guys think about this? And then what do you guys think about that fake ASM 667 slab? Very, very interesting. Be careful out there. You guys got to look at those cases. You got to study them. Study them. And if it looks slightly off, it probably is. Anyways, that's all I got for this video. Like, comment, subscribe. See you on the next one.